Hi, uh, welcome back to Java programming. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate to you how to use the exception handling in Java. I'm going to use the same code we're going to use or we use actually in the class. First of all, I've got two classes already done. Here, then I can work on these ones because I'm using iMac, so of course it's different. So I can go to import, and I've got them on my flash. They're available for you in on a blackboard. You go to File System, Browse. That's usually here. It's here, and it's on my flash, Springs as a Java, and of course enter code and chapter 8. Right, open this one, and these are the files I'm after. I'm going to start with a circle with private data. That's was part of the encapsulation chapter, which was chapter 4, and I've got something here for testing this one. Let me go just these two, and of course you need to put it in your source folder. We're going to finish here. I should have them here somewhere. They are. This first one is circle with private data. If you look in these ones, and of course the test circle with the private data is here. Of course I added something to it here, which is not there, not yet, as yes. So if I run this program, let's look at the code first. Of course, as you recall, I've got this class circle with private data, so I've got private radius initiated to 1. And of course, I've got static to track the number of object. And of course, this one here is my default constructor. And then here is the constructor, the non-default constructor. Of course, has the get radius and set radius. If you look in here, the set radius, say radius equal a new radius, which is new radius here. If you look at this statement, what does that mean? Just in case you wonder what does that mean, these statements here. That means if a new radius, which is this value here, if this value is greater than or equal to 0, go ahead, that's fine. So radius will be equal to radius. Otherwise, a new radius will be equal to 0. That's what it is. In other words, I can write this differently. If that's make it more clear, we can say if. That's the same as if you say if new radius greater than or equal. I'm sorry, it's a second here. A new radius greater than or equal to 0. If it's that true, so you can say radius equal a new radius. That is. That's what it means. Otherwise, else a new radius or you're going to say radius. Sorry, radius equal to 0. That's what it means. And it is. So the radius here, because radius equal new radius, if it's greater than or equal 0, so radius, whatever the value is, otherwise equals 0. If it's negative, we'll set it to 0. We can run the program here and see what the output looks like. First, on starting point, say OK, and here it is. If you look in here, I've created one. Circle the private data, which is 5, so it has 5. If you look at this one empty, then I set radius to -3. Because I put -3, what happens here, according to this, if you notice, if it's not greater than or equal 0, set radius to 0, and that's what happens here. You see in here, so if it's set radius to -3, what happens? Change radius equal to 0, and here's radius is 0. And of course, the third one, it is 0 anyway. So that's the print statement. Now, if you would like to do some kind of exception to our program, because you don't want to do this in a way and you give just errors. What you need to do, you can add something else to it. What does that mean? That means if there's any error, we can catch the error. How do I can catch the error? This error exception, like you cannot have a radius of negative value. So rather than doing this, what I can do, I can raise an error, and of course I'm not going to set this value to 0. How can I do that? This is the exception handling. Because there's an error here, it could happen. What I can do, I can add here, I can add before opening the bracket. Can you see the bracket? Before opening the bracket, I can say throws, just in case there's problems, throws something illegal. There are a few of them. We're going to learn them as we go along. Illegal arguments, exception. Right? Here it is. It's called illegal argument exception, which means if the value here, this is called the argument. If the argument is something wrong with it, so raise an exception. Right? Don't let the program crash or whatever, especially if I got divided by zeros and so on. Rather than setting it to 0, and here in that case, if it's more than 0, that's fine. Because I put this here, that means I have to raise in here. So let's say I'm throwing an error message if the value of radius, of course, is negative. So what I can do in that case, what can you do? Remember, this is throws. So what do you do here? On the else, if it's greater than or equal to 0, is fine. But if it's not, we're going to raise the error. So you can say, remember, this is the throws. You put throw. There it is. Throw. You see it? Throw. That's it. And it says, that's on the else. You create a new, look at it, because this is a class, you create an object of it, right? So it's called, you can cover this one. Here it is. Control C. And then I do it here. There it is. Remember, I'm creating an object. So this is the constructor for this class. So what you can do here, you can say, for instance, error says object or what you can do, it says error, I'm sorry, radius value is negative, so something like that, right? And you stop. Here it is, just like that. There you go. So as soon as you've done that, that means you see in here we put on the method, we put throws, illegal arguments. There are a few types. We'll learn them as we go along. Because of this, the new radius, this is called illegal arguments, the insize argument. So if the new radius is greater than or equal to 0, that's fine. Otherwise, throw an error. Say there's an error, radius is negative value. Right, we've done that. What can we do in that case? To do anything with that, you have to make sure whenever you call that, whenever you call this method, let's say radius, the same things, by the way, we can do this here. If we look at the in here, for instance, what about if I created something here? If I go back here and I put here minus 10, for instance, minus 10. I'm calling the constructor and I gave a negative number. So I have to make sure this is included as well in the constructor. So public, where's the constructor? Is here. Where's is get? It's the same things. This is because of the argument. I can use the same things. I can copy this. There it is. Just copy it. It is. Right, you either put it here if you want, or whatever. So as in here, same things. If when you do this in here, what would I do in that case? Of course, it's the same things. You do the if statement if you want in here, same things, and you say, of course, you say if you can add this here if you want. New radius greater than or equal 0. That's absolutely fine. You can do that here. It says, yeah, absolutely no problems here. Otherwise, else, you have to raise, there's an error here. So you say throws, you see, throw, I put throws here, so this has to be throw. Throw, it is constructor of this. Illegal argument exception. You don't need to memorize these, of course, and you can say here, for instance, it says error because this is constructor. It says, for instance, object cannot be created. There it is. And you stop it. Right? Right. Is that something here? So I can do this one. Control C, and I can add to this one, just in case. Here it is. Right. Illegal. Throw illegal argument exceptions, and of course it's in here. As soon as you do that, that's absolutely fine, no problem. What can I do with this one? Because if it's illegal, of course, I can say, all right, that's fine, it's absolutely fine here. Right, where's the error here? Say there's an error. The method illegal is undefined for type with a private. What's that? I'm sorry. With a private. Undefined for type circle with a private data, which is here. Public. What is that? Public. Circle with private. So double new radius. Here it is. That's a new radius here. Radius. New radius, of course. And so on. This is the throws, and this is the throw. You will see was the error here. A method illegal. Error else cannot be created. Where's the new? Of course, the throw new. Yeah, that's where the things. As I mentioned, you have to create an object, and object you have to use this. That does it for you. Right. So what can we do then in that case here? Program. Soon you have any method. It's got it throws and an exception. In that case, your program, the parts where you use that part, you have to make sure the way you do it. You have to say try, just in case there's an error. Try, there it is. All right, of course, remove that. And here it is. I can move this bit here. This one, go to here, here, here. of course, these, because I'm printing, if you look in here, this is the same, because we printing them, right? And of course, you can close this one, because the number, this is object. You can put it right at the end if you want. That wouldn't be any problems. So you close this one. So if you look in here, what you've done here, what we've done, look at it, try, and then closing the bracket. It says as soon you do that, after closing the bracket, you have to say catch, just in case there's an error. So you throw the object, just in case of error, you say catch. Catch what? Remember the name we've created in there? It's called, look at the illegal. Here it is, the illegal. This one. So copy it, and of course you put it inside the bracket. Catch. Here it is. Here, and then put anything. Say for instance EX, like that. See it? You open the brackets, and then you can say system out print ln, for instance. Print, what do you print? Print this value here, EX, because that's the message, EX, and close it. I'm sorry, close it, and of course close the bracket. Here's the bracket. This bracket is for this one. There it is. So now, if we run the programs, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is the first one is going to go find 5, because as soon as it's 5, it goes here, in here. It comes in here. It says greater than 0. That's fine. Radius, new radius. So it's going to be 5. When it goes second one, it created an empty one. So it goes in here, an empty one. So it's just create an empty object. And of course, when I say set radius -3, it's going to go here to the set radius. It's here. And of course, the radius, if it's less than 0, is going to give me error. Radius value is negative. So that's what's going to print for me. Let's run it and see what's that going to give us. That's okay. And here it is. You see, error. Radius value is negative. What is it? The problem is telling us there's illegal argument exception. Error, radius value is negative, which is here. Radius value is negative. Then we see if we created the object, and rather than putting it here, what I can do, I create an object and I put negative value here. So the -3, I would put it here, -3. So as soon as I say -3, what's that going to happen? Here is going to send to where? It's going to go to the constructor with arguments. So the constructor with a number in here. So here it is. Of course, you can say 3.0 because we're talking about double. So what's going to happen? It's going to come here. Because you're a class here, that's the constructor. Come in here, it says if it's negative, it says raise illegal argument exception error, object cannot be created. So that's the message we're gonna get now. From this, say okay, and here you go. Error, object cannot be created. Where? Because we called the constructor here. That's what IO exceptions for, just to give you where the problems are so you can handle the exceptions. We're going to use the exceptions, and where the exceptions are useful, where you connect to a database and the connections either if used or the connections database does not exist. You have something like that. So rather than system crash, of course, is going to handle it as stopped cleanly, and it tells you what the error is. The same thing is when you open files. If the file does not exist, for instance, we can do that as well. So these are the usage of the exceptions we're gonna use in this course. I hope you understood what's going on here with the exceptions, of course, hopefully. I'm going to explain that in details later on in another video. I hope you understood this. Please let me know if you have any questions related to this one. Thank you very much.